In Walmart's Who Newville, joy started to grow. For online-only savings sure to steal the show. Tech treats and toys so dazzling and new. Walmart Cyber Monday deal soon ready for you. It's online only with very little time to spare. December 1st will soon be here, so be sure to be there. The Who's are prepared. Are you ready too? A day packed with savings. Amazing! Who knew? Subject to availability, terms and fees apply.
We find Vecna, we end this once and for all, together.
On December 25th.
We have a plan. It's a bit insane. Everyone in?
He knows where we are.
Watch out!
Get ready for one last adventure.
We stay true to ourselves. Stay true to our friends, no matter the cost.
Found you. Stranger Things, Season 5, Volume 2, begins December 25th. Only on Netflix.
Hold on to your butts.
We are changing the course of history as we see it. That is what Western demands.
Now this affects Iris. Iris, where are you?
What you feel only matters to you. I do not entertain hypotheticals. The world as it is vexing enough.
Iris, I have a tip for you.
Don't take drugs!
Or whatever movies with Wesley and Iris.
What up, and welcome to Or Whatever Movies. I'm your co-host, Iris, and I'm here with my brother,
Wesley.
Today, we're talking The Mass to His Father, the lapsed Catholic opera, Guillermo del Toro's Last of the Mohicans, Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. Okay, let's hear it.
Despite you thinking that GDT is my boy, I was not a fan of Academy Award-winning The Shape of Water, but I was an adoring fan of Bradley Cooper in Nightmare Alley. What I'm saying is, I'm not like all in on GDT no matter what.
Uh-oh. Hedging.
But Frankenstein was thrilling.
And you're like, I'm ready for Frankenstein. Let's talk about Frankenstein. And I was like, oh, God.
Yeah, why?
Frankenstein.
Why were you like, oh, God, Frankenstein?
Every single one of GDT's movies for me has been a one and done.
Which one?
All of them. All of them.
Except for Frankenstein.
For different reasons. And it's just, Robert Eggers is like, I'm going to do the Vivitch. And people are like, yay. And he's like, I'm going to do Nosferatu. And people are like, oh, that's kind of on the nose. And he's like, what's coming up next from the visionary mind? I'm going to do Werewolf. And people are like, yeah.
Isn't Werewolf just a cryptid? Like, it's not a story. It's just a beast.
Maybe it's a cryptid, but it's just so old and the legends are so old. It's like the vampire legend, but it's so obvious. It's just so, oh, you're going to do werewolf, shocker. And GDT is like, I'm going to do my riff on the creature from the Black Lagoon. And I'm going to do Circus Freaks. And I'm going to do Pinocchio and... wait for it, secret script that that Jacob Elordi gets and is like, I have to read this in an hour. I'll read it this weekend. And they're like, no, you all have to understand with Guillermo del Toro, you kind of have to read it now. Like super secretive. Frankenstein is super secretive. Okay, what's he going to do next? Oh, you know what I always loved as a kid is Peter Pan. I love Peter Pan and I want to do Peter Pan, but the dark version, the Guillermo del Toro version. And I'm like, see, you don't even know if that's true, is how obvious that would be.
I was just going to ask.
Frankenstein? Oh, God. All right. It's on Netflix. It's available now, had theatrical release. Let's talk about it. Let's watch Frankenstein, I guess, even though we've seen the other one and we read the book and stuff. I bet it's going to be gross and there's going to be body horror.
And then you loved it. And then you loved it. And then what?
I watched it and...
Say it.
Jacob Elordi staggers out into the cold or whatever against the Demeter or whatever. And I was
like...
Okay. And...
What do you mean, okay? That was awesome. He's hurling people across the ice into fires.
And he's roaring and stuff. Yay. And then I was like, oh, that was kind of cool.
Right?
It's gothic, but it's like also like ice wastelandy, and it's got Mary Shelley's foreboding weather and stuff, and he's like wrapped up, but he's still wraith-like and impossibly tall and beating those poor sailors down.
And they're like, get the ladder, get the ladder. And you're like, get the ladder.
And then I spent, how long was this movie? 3.5 hours? I spent the other 3 hours and 20 minutes being like, please don't screw it up. Please don't screw it up. Oh, God. Oh, that was kind of gross. Oh, that was unnecessary. Please don't screw it up. And then he didn't, kinda. He didn't.
See? See?
Ooh, such relief. What I wanted was a Frankenstein that was faithful to Mary Shelley as much as possible, but wasn't Guillermo del Toro'd up and made unnecessarily outright disgusting and distasteful to look at. And frankly, kind of silly. Andy Muschietti has this thing too, where he has creatures that are supposed to be horrifying, but some of them are kind of baby-like or stupid looking. Like, I thought everyone in Pinocchio was kind of stupid looking. And it's like, oh, Guillermo del Toro's fantastic visionary creature designs. And I'm like, yeah, but it's dumb and it's impractical. And while Frankenstein bears some of that impracticality, just in terms of like late 18th, 19th century science, and this is what passes for sci-fi that is terrifying because it could actually happen, you kind of have to go with it. Did you know that lightning and all that stuff, did you recall that that's purely from the movies, from Boris Karloff?
No.
It's never made explicitly clear in Frankenstein how the monster is animated. And Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, you can't see my air quotes, when Gilderoy Lockhart did it. What's his name? Director of Cinderella.
Hamlet.
Yeah. Kenneth Branagh, when he did it,
yes,
was electricity. And Universal is electricity in the walkthrough maze or whatever. So Guillermo del Toro went with electricity, and Christoph Waltz's character, I was like, Christoph Waltz, wow. He's a completely made up character for this movie specifically. And Kelly was like, I don't remember, does in the book or whatever, does he kill the brother? And I was like, what brother? Like, I don't remember exactly. I remember Boris Karloff and the girl and the freaking Daisy and stuff, like Lakeside. And I was like, oh yeah, the blind guy or whatever. But I'm not tracking this story like I have been Dracula. So I was like, give it to me or whatever. And he kind of gave it to me. There were some embellishments. Victor Frankenstein never loses his leg anywhere else. But Guillermo del Toro was like, it's not gross enough. I need to be disgusted. Let's cut off his leg when he hits the thing. And it's all flopping and blood is gushing out, and they gave him a C-3PO leg. But it's not necessary. He's Guillermo del Toro, and Guillermo del Toro is gonna Guillermo del Toro no matter what.
Amy asked, is Frankenstein scary? And I was like, maybe, but it's gross, and I know you don't like gross. And it's kind of violent.
Oh, it's violent from the outset.
Yeah, like shockingly violent in a story that doesn't necessarily need to be violent. But he was a badass monster from like frame one. And then he starts throwing people around and breaking them apart and moving ships and stuff. And you're like, damn. So I tried to more accurately and cautiously warn Amy because I failed so miserably with The Substance.
Reminder that Guillermo del Toro loved The Substance.
Well, of course he did. But it's also kind of soft and cuddly and emotional.
As much as it possibly can be. You mentioned him as a lapsed Catholic, which must be because you were watching supplemental material. But obviously, he's the family themes are present. The lapsed Catholic Jesus themes are present, Creator and Son, and him being crucified on the thing as he's being animated and all that stuff. But Frankenstein has tender, touching elements. I mean, what are you going to do? Mary Shelley was like, 18 years old? And so it's not going to be, well, I can't imagine she ever would have envisioned a dude like Guillermo del Toro taking it over, because I imagine it was more daisies on the riverbank with the little girl with the sunshiny hair and Frankenstein being like, oh, this is love or whatever. And this movie, as a result, went so hard, so fast that when he came time to make friends with Argus Filch in the blind man's cabin or whatever, I was like, I'm kind of bored now. And that was easily the worst part for me, because while I don't love Guillermo del Toro's style, so I've chalked it up in thinking about this movie kind of obsessively. It's just his visionary director, but his visual style doesn't appeal to me, and it never has. I think all the Hellboys looked stupid. I think Pan's Labyrinth creatures were like, whoa, so fantastical, but also kind of dumb and impractical. So I was like bracing for Frankenstein to look dumb, and then it didn't. So, and because a lot of his stuff, that puppet that caught, it didn't catch a real apple or whatever he tossed it, a peach or whatever, I don't think, but it was a fully articulated 3-person puppet. It was practical. And obviously Jacob Elordi in the suit, and he didn't have stupid I Am Legend elongated jaw or anything silly about him. They really milked that reflective tappeta thing in his eye, which was implausible. They did that like 17 times.
You love the red eye. Come on.
I do, but that's not red eye. That's animal eye. Even though he had human eyes, I don't know. I don't care. Whatever. He came out of the castle and he's talking, I think, to Christoph Waltz. And I was like, there's no way that thing is a real set. And it was like, a built set or whatever, and it was wood, but it was gigantic, and the rooms are cavernous, and the castle is vast, and the staircase, and the big mural thing on the wall. And I was like, man, it felt real, and it felt good until it wasn't grand. And when he went and hung out with Argus Filch in the cabin, and those wolves, it's like Guillermo del Toro knows how to do practical stuff. And so he doesn't have the eye for CG, because the wolves and the sheep looked terrible.
You're saying because everything is so practical that when it comes to CG, he doesn't know how to do it?
It actually kind of makes some of his practical stuff feel impractical. When that thing so smoothly catches the fruit or whatever and then drops it and it moves and stuff, I was like, oh, that doesn't feel human or real, even though it is, because some of the stuff is CG augmented. Obviously, the blood and the gore and the ripping. How many people's or creatures' jaws got ripped off in this movie? At least 3.
It was more just like the breaking of people. Like, doesn't he just like bend people backwards and break them in half?
So I watched it and I was like, Oscar Isaac is pretty good. He makes a fitting rock star kind of Frankenstein.
He's really great. He's a little bit Prince. He's a little bit Jimi Hendrix. He's got some swagger, but he's also kind of bear-like when he's out on the tundra and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he's all vulnerable and naked and
very naked. Jacob Elordi is too pretty a dude. I was like, did they put him on like stilts or on like with high heels or something? But he's at 6'5", too pretty, but really scary looking without being dumb looking. And he was so sad and just kind of blue for the whole movie. He was just blue. Get it?
I mean, was that an Avatar reference?
Half of his face was blue, which means the tissue was decomposing, which means part of his forehead was fine. But they chose, like, the meat was going bad on the rest of his face. Kind of impractical, kind of silly, but whatever.
So you know who was supposed to play Frankenstein, right?
Remind me.
I seem to recall the Devaney twins saying that he would make a great Frankenstein because of the shape of his head.
Who, Jacob Elordi?
No, the person who was supposed to play Frankenstein but dropped out like 6 weeks before production because the SAG strike screwed up his filming schedule with another film.
Which is who? Andrew
Garfield.
Oh, that's right. Well, I mean, Jacob Elordi kind of has that Andrew Garfield mouth. Not 6'5", though. The Devaney twins of Raiders of the Lost podcast, our friends. Check that out. That's a really good movie podcast if you like us at all.
I think it's a real testament to GDT and his team that they were able to kind of make the pivot to Jacob Elordi to make that suit, like you said, not look dumb. It shows just kind of how elegantly they can make a pivot creatively. I mean, that's a big change.
A big change, and all props to Jacob Elordi for stepping into that role at the last minute. He said he read the role, burned through the script, a really long script, in about an hour, all the time that was allotted for him by the time he actually got a hold of it. And then 2 weeks later, he was filming and was suited and booted and ready to go. And I'm like, wow. For a creature, I mean, maybe he could have been set dressing. Maybe he could have been a glorified practical puppet-like character who's like, or whatever. But he studied throat singing and stuff like to really maximize his voice, all what's his name style. And then he learned a specific kind of dance movement or whatever that was like striking awkward poses, non-traditional, not graceful kind of dance style that he employed.
I think that you'll appreciate that Guillermo del Toro's direction was to observe dogs through the lens of what a pure dog state looks like. That there was a purity to the Frankenstein creature, monster, that was very dog-like in the sense that if a dog loves you, they love you unconditionally, and if there's a dog with a bone, they're going to be after it tenaciously. And I think maybe that's why you were drawn to the Frankenstein character, because you love dogs.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire wrong. So our orders get all backed up. We're drowning in paperwork, then actually drowning, careless fighting off sharks with a stapler, and pirates are pillaging the office copier, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant goes beyond the resume, using unique insights to deliver a smarter shortlist. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
All right, listen up, nacho chips. Quiet down, crispy potatoes. This is the moment Velveeta's been preparing you for, and you're not about to crack under pressure. Today's the day to go all in on the drip. Velveeta's Heat and Eat Queso is the MVP of any game day spread, so stick by them, and you'll be golden. Now get out there and make delicious history. No tailgate party is complete without Velveeta.
I don't know about that. I did hear that Jacob Elordi, when he's all hunched over as the creature when he's first born, but he then is more erect. He stands upright and he's more standing tall and sort of proud, whereas Victor Frankenstein gets more hunched over as we go along, whether through illness or fear or whatever. Who's really the monster thematically?
Like one's evolving while the other devolves?
Right. But it was a great performance that Jacob Elordi really took seriously. I don't know if he's the pretty boy, but that seems who he was in Saltburn, especially compared to the Saltburn vampire. But I can't imagine Andrew Garfield. Maybe I can. It's just he was so good as Frankenstein's monster, Jacob Elordi. Not that Kelly Ray was aware of who it was. I said at the end, okay, who played the monster? And she was like, I don't know, Pennywise? And I laughed, and she said, was it one of the Pennywises?
Wait, there are multiple Pennywises?
Well, there are a lot of Skarsgårds.
Oh.
And again, I was like, God, please don't mess it up. Please don't mess it up. And people kept showing up. I was like, Charles Dance, is that Noah Jupe? But it wasn't. And then...
He was very Noah Jupe-like.
Then he was in the theater and he's trying to explain and he's all being like diva-ish and like, no, you don't understand or whatever. And everyone's railing on him. And I was like, that's Ralph Ineson. Is Ralph Ineson not the monster? And Kelly Ray is like, maybe he is. You don't know. Like he's going to kill him or whatever after hours. And then
which character was Ralph Ineson? Was he one of the judges?
He was one of the guys with the powdered wigs or whatever, railing on Victor Frankenstein. And I was like, how is he not the monster? Seems like a missed opportunity.
Isn't he the Green Knight?
Yes, and he just shows up in all these movies. He's like, I think he lives on these sets, like in old Gothic castles.
He just kind of lurks around.
Right? He's like groundskeeper, and I don't recall an Elizabeth character in Frankenstein. That wasn't her name, was it?
I'm not up on the source material. But GDT has to have like the monster damsel romance. Yeah, it definitely came to be a romance, although the female character in Frankenstein, whose name may or may not be Elizabeth, in this particular version was the betrothed of his brother. Right. Even though the tension was obvious. And so this formulates Victor Frankenstein's backstory and current story, right? He's the mama's boy betrayed by his father, and then he's the unrequited lover, and this all fuels his madness. He was like Mozart. Check out our discussion of Amadeus or orwhatevermovies.com reading a podcast. They actually called him Prometheus in this movie, Frankenstein being or the modern Prometheus, the original text. Because we were trying to see the beauty, we were always trying to get past the monstrous exterior and try to find the tortured soul in the monster as he examines the
the world around him or whatever. Whereas Victor, who's handsome and rock starish with his shirt open, gets more and more hunched and bearded and bedraggled and beset upon and hunted.
When he's in it's not the courtroom, but it feels like he's on trial.
Yeah, in the surgery theater, medical theater.
Yeah. He's talking about how life follows the path or the arc of the ball or the fruit, whatever he's throwing around during his performance/presentation. It's a rise and it's a fall, and you can see him. It's like the movie charts his course through that arc, and you can see him falling. You can see him basically like succumbing to his pride that kind of kills him in the end. I mean, Frankenstein's monster takes a kind of an abrupt turn, which maybe you can explain away by using the pure dog state analogy metaphor. But, he wants Victor Frankenstein. He presumably is going to tear him apart limb by limb. But it turns out that he's actually looking for an explanation, or he's actually looking for a real connection. That turn is really abrupt. And then also Victor Frankenstein's death may feel a little abrupt if you don't look at his journey as, being the arc, that he's on the trajectory towards death. He seems pretty well when he's regaling the sailors, and then he dies.
He seems pretty well when he lurches up from the bed, grabs the monster by the lapels, and is like saying, "I'm sorry, my son," and then he like dies. And I was like, wait, he's dead? Okay. But yes, who is, this is a question not for Mom, but for you. Who is Frankenstein? Is it the monster or is it the creator?
It's the creator. It's Victor Frankenstein.
What is the monster or the creature's name?
Shoot, does he have a name?
He does have a name, and his name is Hubie.
Okay, I'm waiting for the punchline.
It's short for hubris because he represents Victor Frankenstein's pride.
Okay. All right. So Hubie comes for him, and Victor Frankenstein succumbs to his hubris.
Yeah. He creates a thing, and he is playing God, and he is the master of creation and stuff. But then the flaws are inherent. Once it gets away from him and this idea of pride and doing it, crazy son of a bitch, you did it. Before you even knew what you had, you packaged it and patented it and slapped it in a plastic lunchbox, and you're selling it. Now you're selling it. Well,
you got to slam the fist.
Just because you could, you didn't stop to think if you should, kind of thing.
Quoting Jurassic Park, the actual line is, "Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should."
I got the end part of it with the inflection.
Roll the clip.
Yeah. We talked about when we would have lost a sneak in this movie. And if she had made it through the demonstrations and stuff and the reanimated corpse, that was, definitely when he starts sawing through the leg, that's where we would have lost a sneak completely. But when his creation gets away from him and begins to think and act for itself, you see all the flaws and all the stuff that Victor couldn't see as he was blinded by ambition and pride, that the monster seeks purpose, and just to do it is not enough. You have to provide for it, or whatever. Big parental metaphors that Guillermo del Toro made sure not to miss.
Well, yeah, as a father himself, and a father who's reconciling his relationship with his own father and his relationship with his children vis-a-vis his work, which is very demanding. I think that he's working out a lot, as he tends to do in his films, but it's not like these things aren't universal. This idea of forgiveness is a nice message, I think, specifically for our times. This idea that they both forgive each other kind of into peace is a really strong, emotional, and revelatory message. It enables Victor Frankenstein to kind of pass peacefully, and it enables the creature the ability to let go and move on, even if it means that Victor Frankenstein isn't going to create a partner for him, which is symbolized into him walking into the horizon by himself. It's a message of kind of radical hope and forgiveness that I feel like was really earned. The action works for me. The emotionality worked. It tracked. It paid off. There are sequences in there where you're like, damn, that's really cool, without being too gross or too scary.
Are you trying to convince me?
I was really excited. Was it that obvious that I was so excited to discuss it?
No. Well, I said, what's next? And you said Frankenstein. I was like, ugh. And there was total silence. And I was like, what, you're not going to jump on me? And you were like, I'm ready. That's it. I agree with everything you said. It's not I guess it's kind of a hard concession for me to make, but more specifically, Poor Things as it should have been. I think a movie I really did not like. Did not expect to like Frankenstein and really liked it. Had a fun time watching it, enough to overlook like the really gross stuff and the implausibilities that just come with this universe. He was basically immortal and regenerated very quickly. That doesn't have any basis in science. I was able to overlook all that stuff and the explosion and the fact that CG deer would definitely run away from a dead and decomposing thing.
The deer knew that he was just like the deer, that he was a creature of nature, even though he's kind of more of a freak of nature.
Yeah.
They were kindred spirits.
But you talked about radical hope, and hope was not a part of the novel. It was Prometheus. And Prometheus was doomed to failure and torture. And the monster stalks off into the desolate wasteland in utter despair and is like howling and junk. Not so much. Jacob Elordi was looking into the wintry sun and being like, maybe there is purpose moving forward now that I no longer have a master to seek and torture. Maybe I can carve out some existence. Did you feel this element of hope at the end?
I mean, not necessarily hope as much as reconciliation at the end. Like this idea that not only were the two, the creator and creature, reconciled, but that the creature was reconciled to its fate. That it's kind of destined to be alone, that it is terminally unique in that way. And at least to understand the aloneness, I think, gives him the ability to go off into the unknown.
The Elizabeth stuff, I may be conflating Frankenstein with Bride of Frankenstein, which Mom asked, because eventually his yearning for a companion, he didn't specify a chick necessarily, but I was kind of expecting it to go that direction with the Elizabeth character, who also played the mom, by the way. Did you note that?
No.
She was the mom
Really?
to the impossibly older Charles Dance, but that's the way it happened back then.
The wife to Charles Dance and the mom to young Frankenstein.
Which was just like Bram Stoker's Dracula with Winona Ryder playing the Elisabetta and the Mina role.
But wow. So is that suggesting like mommy issues?
Well, there was all that stuff. It was parental issues in general, but there was that mothering angle. I expected him to gravitate toward her, who was his first tenderness, when his dad was all like, repulsed and angered and running away and stuff. Didn't have skin on skin bonding after he was born or anything, but was the first creature that showed him outright affection and tenderness. And he would want to parlay that into reanimating her corpse specifically for his tattered bride. And none of that stuff happened, but it felt hopeful to me, even though she was dead. And I was like, well, she's coming back, but then she didn't. And the monster is just immortal, which is the tortured pain that the vampire experiences. And I guess now Frankenstein's monster.
There were so many scenes that were so thrilling and operatic and kind of mind-blowing that it's easy to gloss over, to forget the Red Wedding. The Red Wedding in Frankenstein specifically is an insane backdrop for the creature's return and for them to show down. I mean, her jumping in front of the creature maybe a little bit cheesy or obvious, but very tragic for Victor, who still loves her but also loves his brother, even though they have a complicated relationship. It's hard to pick a scene.
We go with it because it's gothic and it's beautiful and it's savage and it's scary and somehow touching. That said, any one of those people at the wedding should have jumped forward and said, hey, you can't kill people and break people apart and then take the bride out of the wedding. What are you doing? Like everyone was like, clear a path, for he must pass. With Elizabeth or whatever. Nobody tried to stop him.
No heroes.
Looked great. We're just letting it go because it looks cool.
GDT is fond of saying that he creates a banquet for his actors. that he creates this incredible, realistic, detailed playground for them to bring their characters to life. But I think that translates to the audience too. And it's not just eye candy, as he puts it. It's eye protein. It all has substance and meaning and nutritional value as far as the movie goes. It looks great, but it also works story-wise. I'm so thrilled.
Gotta concede. Because it actually worked right and it looked right for me. And that was more shocking than anything. Does this fall squarely into his work? Is it like, oh, that's so obviously Guillermo del Toro? Or like it does to me, is this to you a standout?
It's a standout, but like I said, I loved Nightmare Alley. And I think you were pretty ho-hum about that, even though I think it was nominated for Best Picture. Nobody ever considered it to be a real contender. I loved that movie. But then again, I was pretty ambivalent about Shape of Water, which did win. So I went into this pretty open-minded, maybe even with some high expectations, and it met everyone.
And I came in through the opposite door, and we somehow met in the middle. I would even say it re-energized, it animated his body of work. No, I'm not going to go revisit any of those other. Frankenstein was cool, and I really enjoyed watching Frankenstein, and that's all I have to say about that.
And that's our discussion on Frankenstein, movie from 2025, available now and forever on Netflix. What did you think of Frankenstein? 818-835-0473 or whatevermovies@gmail.com or whatevermovies.com or wherever you get podcasts. The connection between Frankenstein and Bram Stoker is obvious, which is why we also reference the Powers of Darkness podcast available to Orwhatevermovies. So check it out, and thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Hey everybody, Diego here from the Candle Power Hour and Candle Power Records. Together with Electrocast Records, we proudly present Imperial Highway, a California sampler. 15 singles tracked by artists all based in California. Every song on Imperial Highway is mastered to deliver. Rock and roll is back, and we got what you want. If you're craving new music, Imperial Highway hits the spot. Download Imperial Highway. Check us out at candlepowerrecords.com and listen to the Candle Power Hour on Electrocast.
Electrocast. Welcome to the Candle Power Hour. Come with us backstage behind the scenes of show business spanning over 4 decades and bringing you the experiences that can only be told by the people who were there.
Our guests are from the A-list, the F-list, and everyone in between. Get set for some of the most insane, hilarious, and inspiring stories you will ever hear.
I'm Mercury.
And I'm Diego.
Your host for the Candle Power Hour.